So everybody, please welcome my Half-Asian Lawyer Bill Richmond. Come on in.
So y'all gonna do me like Rosa Parks, huh?
No. We're letting you sit in the front. All right. Bill, what's going on here for people who don't know?
So, as you said correctly, yesterday we finally got
surprised.
the rules. No. Look, yesterday they finally agreed on the rules.
Right.
They exchanged a lot of those pretrial briefings that I don't know why you tortured yourself by going through them, but you did. And so now today we've got the 4-hour session. They've officially started 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Central. They've started, the House managers kicked it off, and they're moving forward through 4 hours of debate. Now, this is different because they only have to have a simple majority to decide whether or not it's constitutional or unconstitutional. Everything could end today, but I think more likely than not, we're going to see this move to tomorrow. So Wednesday and Thursday is when we're going to have 16 hours of each side presenting their case. Prosecution, defense. Now, they don't have to use it all, and any trial lawyer will tell you the best part of valor in a trial is knowing when to sit down and shut up and have left with a good impression. I'm going to imagine that the prosecution is going to use every single minute to trot out, what was it, Haberman, ABC, NBC.
ABC, The Hill, Washington Post.
Right, exactly.
I think
Sesame
Vice
Street
was in there, Vox. I believe some transgender male to female from Slate.
It was, I heard the Animaniacs were maybe going to come, but I think there'll be a surprise turn to witness. You're going to see an amazing clip fest that comes out from every single person who had the opportunity to say something
like
as a witness.
That's what he did running for president. He knew he had no chance, but he just wanted to get his profile a little bit higher, raise some money, maybe get a cabinet position. That's what happens. These people don't run for president expecting to win. They run to sell books.
We've got, instead of Chief Justice Roberts presiding, we now have our longest running, oldest 80-year-old senator who's a Democrat who will be a witness and a juror.
Why is that? Explain to people who don't know, because it should be Chief Justice Roberts.
So that is one of the interesting things. The Constitution only has 4 express requirements, and one of those requirements is, you got the senator, and then you have that it's going to be presided by the Chief Justice when it is for a sitting president. And that's why we're even having the debate today about whether you can use the impeachment for someone who is not in actual office.
And so the person who is doing it is Patrick Leahy.
Yes.
Who's a well-known Democrat, and I think he's 104. So he's not present for a lot of health reasons. But this is something people don't understand. Without Chief Justice Roberts, when you have basically Patrick Leahy presiding, he's both juror and judge.
And a witness. On top of that, he is also
Bill, how is this allowed? You're a lawyer. He's a lawyer. How is that allowed? So, how can you be a witness? How a juror and did that happen anywhere else?
Well, no. And the reason, this is a very important distinction. People are often going to say, well, wait a minute. We've created a criminal system that has a higher standard than in a civil court beyond a reasonable doubt. It has additional rules, all kinds of things that are meant to preserve fairness. Most of those rules don't apply in an impeachment. Yeah. That's why getting into this particular moment is going to allow them to get evidence, testimony, procedure, the time frame. All of it is geared towards putting on more of a show than you would normally have in a real criminal trial, which is why they're trying to avoid that entirely. If they knew they had a criminal case, they'd go do the criminal thing.
Right.
But they know they don't.
Right.
So they're going to have to move through this procedure. I'll give an analogy, right? So you have your military courts or your Guantanamo bays, right? Yeah. And the whole complaint there from the left is, well, these folks, they're not citizens, or they are, but they committed domestic terrorism. You should still treat them and put them in the criminal justice system. But when it comes to the former president of the United States, they go, no, we shouldn't put him in the criminal justice system and actually follow the rules.
Treat him like a Uyghur.
That we espouse. So that's why they're going to have this particular procedure. And that's why it's unfortunate, because we're going to see a lot of testimony. You're going to see a lot of evidence, and folks are going to go, I've seen SVU. I know you can't let that in. Wrong. You're going to be able to get it in here. It's not the way that it normally works in a trial. Unfortunate.
When people, they want you to be afraid to say fight like hell. You mean to tell me that everyone takes fight like hell, especially when taken in tandem with make your voices heard peacefully, that means you're calling people to violence? This is what is happening with big tech. They want you. You can say that there has been voter fraud. You can say there are voter irregularities. You cannot say on YouTube that it affected the outcome of the election. Otherwise, you'll get banned. And this entire basis of this impeachment is he incited people to violence by drawing attention to voting irregularities, because that causes people to become, it causes unrest, that it caused the insurrection. We'll go through the timeline. The insurrection that happened on the Capitol was before his speech even ended. Even if they left midway through, 1.8 miles, they would have had to beat the world record mile time. And that's why I think Lindsey Graham said you don't want to call all the witnesses.
This isn't about certainly not unity. It's certainly not about healing the country. It's certainly not about justice. It's not about trying to actually hold someone accountable. It's about scoring political points, creating good, kind of moments that you can then replay over and over and over again. And I think it's going to ultimately backfire. I think it is actually already at this moment. A lot of folks are like, what's going on with the on both sides of the aisle? They're saying, what is really going on here? I thought we were moving on. Right. So it'll be really interesting, both the 4 hours we have today and the gag 16 hours on each side that we got to do for all of that.
Here's the thing. We have a perfect case. We have perfect precedent, not just legally, but what should happen here? Nixon resigned. They didn't impeach him. Because at that point, a lot of people weren't necessarily thrilled with it, but because he saw it as the only way to unify the country, to heal and move on, Ford gave him a pardon. Yeah. And a lot of people were upset by it, but if you look back now at historians, even liberal historians, they say that was the right thing to do. Right now, we have a president who committed no crime, who didn't call anybody to violence. This is paper thin, even thinner than the Russia collusion. Well, I guess not, because that was fraudulent when you actually take it into account. And they're calling for unity while impeaching someone who's not even in office. These people don't want unity. Don't find common ground on a lie. Fight like hell. Fight like hell by posting on social media the dishonesty here. Yeah. Fight like hell by posting everywhere you can the voting irregularities that are verifiable, not conspiracies. Make sure you do your due diligence. Fight like hell in doing your due diligence and getting that information out there. And if it gets removed, fight like hell in exploring your legal options. And then if those are exhausted and they say they're not going to let you back on, fight like hell and claim that you're gay, or do a 23andMe, find some ethnicity in you, and declare it a hate crime. Fight like hell to make sure that these people feel that they at least have some eyeballs on them going into the next election. I know a lot of people want to say, what happens to this country if your vote didn't matter here, and they do this forevermore. Listen, there are ways to correct. Right? There are ways to, if they could change the law right before the election in unconstitutional ways, which were ruled in some courts, by the way, like Pennsylvania, change it to mass vote-in without any kind of standards in some states. Change it to the day of the deadlines. If they can change those within the week of the election, your voice can hold these people accountable if you fight like hell. Doesn't mean that I want you to blow anything up. Okay? If that is considered violent, well, then I guess color me violent by saying fight like hell with your words and information and making sure that you do your due diligence. This is absurd. And here's the thing, too. You can tell me, Bill, if I'm right about this. If it goes to a criminal court, right, if it's no longer an impeachment, then it's even more of a First Amendment issue.
So you definitely would involve First Amendment issues when you come to what was said, how it was said, what was the intent behind saying it. But without a question, you don't even get that far because of the procedural hurdles. Regularly, you have prosecutorial discretion where the prosecutors go, do we want to waste taxpayer money on actually prosecuting a case that we don't think actually has a chance of moving forward? Because these prosecutors aren't usually there just for, the average prosecutor is not there for just media stunts. Unfortunately, we're seeing literally our dollars burn for the next 3 days in a process that every single article, left and right, admits is unlikely to result in any kind of conviction, except just more fighting over the same thing. So that's...
you mispronounced unity.
Watch Good Morning Mug Club live every Monday through Thursday at 10:15 Eastern.